All right, all right. I'm going to give all glory and praise unto those holy and powerful names of Yahawah, being the Father, and Yahawashi, being his only begotten Son. This is Brother Malachi coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahawashi and Yahawashi, coming in the way of the Bahashim Akakradash, which is the Holy Spirit of truth, giving double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, who do rule well and do teach well, and from whom I've learned the truth. And like I said before, this is Brother Malachi. Now, today's lesson, didn't want it to be too long or drawn out or anything like that, but I wanted to, the Spirit was on me to go into it earlier, but I didn't. So now I'm going ahead and do the video now. And ultimately, this is for newer brothers or, just newer men that's coming into faith, that's coming into the understanding, and maybe even a rehash for older men, but, the brothers that are seasoned within the truth, in and of itself, they have an understanding of what I'm finna bring out, what I'm finna say. And as you can see the video that I'm finna play, you can kind of already see probably where I'm going with this. What I wanted to speak on today's lesson is going to be predicated on Esau, Edom, but really going into Esau, Edom's appearance, and why he looks, or the Edomites, the Shedemites, the Edomite male and the Edomite woman, why they have a lack of pigment, and where that comes from and why. And it goes back to the Bible. It goes back to the scriptures, and we're finna get into it. But first off, let me say this as well. We are the Hebrew Israelites, all right? And typically, the Hebrew Israelites are people of color. According to the scriptures, the Lord told us that, which I'm finna get. Let's get some precepts. Let's let the Bible speak. We're gonna come back to that in Numbers, but the Lord did say that his heritage was like unto a speckled bird. All right, this is Jeremiah 12:9. It says, "My heritage, which is the children of Israel, we are the Lord's inheritance. We belong to the Lord, ultimately, and that's why we got to return unto the Lord to receive mercy, grace, and salvation. All right, without Yahawashi, we can do none of these things. So we got to keep that in mind. But this is Jeremiah 12:9. It says, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird, and the birds around are against her. Come ye and assemble all you beasts of the field and devour." So we are a speckled bird is a very colorful bird, very filled with very various different colors. Now, going into the children of Israel, we range from a light brown, caramel, very light skin, Steph Curry looking, to a dark chestnut, to a very dark, like likened unto the soil, like Morris chestnut, or Michael Jordan, that type of dark, or maybe Bernie Mac if you're trying to get a visual. We range, but I'm bringing this out to say that just because you are not, or let's say you can have the no melanation like Esau has, that does not mean that you're not an Israelite. All right, this is not a color thing, but we understand through the Spirit that Israelites predominantly are people of color. The Israelites have predominantly, most of the time, have color, but there are cases, and a lot of cases actually, where there are Israelites that have the appearance of Edomites, but their spirits go back to Jacob. Their spirits go back to the 12 tribes of Israel, the patriarchs, and that's what it's about. All right, because we declare the seed in our pedigrees, by our fathers. All right, the father holds the seed. So, if my father hypothetically put seed into a white woman or a so-called Edomite that was lacking pigment, a melanation, then I'm gonna come out light skinned, more, less pigment, less melanated, if you will. Now, if I go ahead and I'm already looking very high yellow, or what they like to say, and then I put my seed into a white woman again, or Edomite woman again, then the child or the children from that woman, is still going to be Israelites, but they're going to take on features and maybe even a lighter tone. And if you continue to do that process over time, then eventually you're not even going to recognize if the individual, is Jake or is it a Edomite. So that's why we got to try the spirit by the spirit. All right. Reading verse 10. It says in verse 10, it says, many pastors have destroyed my vineyard, and they have trodden down my portion underfoot, and they have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. All right. And we have to keep that in mind, because there are men or teachers, well, they're really not teachers, they're really false prophets, really hirelings that are teaching that all Israel is black, or like the other tribes, which consist of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They're trying to cut off the 10 tribes. They're trying to cut off the Gadites. They're trying to cut off the Reubenites. They're trying to cut off Issachar, because they're not so-called black. There's Israelites in particular, men not there. I wouldn't say they're necessarily in the faith, but they're in Israel, that they go and teach that doctrine that all the Israelites are going to be so-called Negroes only, but that is not true. All right, so you got to be careful. And so the Spirit of the Lord is going to give you the spirit to discern between who's teaching the right and who's teaching the wrong. So we like we said, we got to try the spirit by the spirit. That's 1 John. Let me just get it. This is let's jump right to it. This is 1 John 4:1. It says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they be of the Most High, because many false prophets are going out into the world. Just like I said, many people are teaching against the sound doctrine that the Lord Yahawashi has given us, and the men that are teaching that sound doctrine and their affiliates, or the apostles of GMS and the affiliates, whoever they may be, that are teaching sound doctrine, in truth and sincerity. Okay. But the scriptures say again, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they be of the Most High, because many false prophets are going out into the world. All right. So now that we got that understood, that Jake can look like a so-called Edomite, but still go back to Jake. Now we've seen this. Let's get an example. Actually, you know what? Let's just stay on the scriptures. Let's just stay with the scriptures. Let's see what scripture I want to get. Let me see. So what I want to focus on is bringing that out, and then we're gonna get into the reason as to why these Edomites have a lack of pigment. Okay, it was put let's just jump to the scriptures real quick. But let's go to Genesis 3, and we're gonna get into it. But the reason that these Edomites have a lack of pigment, because predominantly Edomites are, the so-called white men who lack pigment, and I'm talking about real Edomites within the spirit, So that's why I brought out what I brought out before. All right, but the real Edomites that lack pigment and that lack the pigment Salakia. Let me say this as well. An Edomite can be melanated and still be an Edomite, So that's why we gotta try the spirit by the spirit. You can have a Moabite looking Edomite, and he's gonna have those Edomite characteristics, those Edomite mannerisms, because his spirit goes back to Esau, though he looks, like a Moabite, if you will. All right, but ultimately the reason why these particular nation of people do not have pigment, they do not have melanin, if you will, is because the Lord Yahawashi took it from them. All right, as a punishment, and it's not a punishment that's going to be let up. They have what we would call clean leprosy. All right, Esau is a clean leper. All right. So let's jump to it when the Lord Yahawashi cursed the seed of the wicked and took away their pigment. Let's jump right to it. Let's start at verse 13. It says, "And the Lord Yahawah power said unto the woman, What hast thou done?" All right, because the woman went off and went to sin and iniquity. All right, because Adam and Eve only knew righteousness. All right, but Eve took it upon. Well, Eve was beguiled by the serpent, and she brought to Adam iniquity and sin, and the ways of the other nations, which brought forth sin and iniquity, because the ways of the other nations and the things that they do, they don't have the law, statutes, and commandments written, for them to follow and have understanding and have that wisdom, that wisdom inside of the nations, like it speaks about in Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. They don't have that. So the things that they do are outside the temple. So not Esau, but Eve brought that to Adam, and thus began the fall of the sons of God. Okay? It says, and the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Now, she didn't eat a physical apple. She ate the understanding and the philosophy of wickedness. She understood, well, they both understood that they were in sin. They went off. They were no longer in that perfect. They were no longer sinless. They were no longer perfect, because they went off. They sinned before the Lord. It says in verse 14, it says, "And the Lord said unto the serpent." Now this is the whole. We're gonna focus on the point, and we're gonna wrap the video up. I don't want to go be all over the place, because it can get drawn out. But it says, "And the Lord power said unto the serpent," which the serpent was actually a nation of people, or a nation. It was a man. It was a nation. It was Esau. Okay, but during the time that we're speaking about in Genesis 3, he still had pigment. The Edomites, that the Lord created, because the Lord created 18 nations, excluding Israel, which will be 17 nations. So the Lord created 17 nations outside of Israel, outside of the nation of Israel. Yasha Allah, and before the Lord, during this time, all the nations on the earth during the time of Genesis here had pigment. But here in this verse, and we're going to go on and explain it, this is the time where Esau, the serpent, because the serpent was a nation of people, it was a man, he's finna get judged. All right, he's finna lose that pigment. He's finna lose, he's finna get punished. He's finna get judged ultimately. All right, here. All right, and we're finna get into it. It says, this is 14. It says, "And the Lord power said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle." All right, because Edom is the lowest of the low. Of all the 17 nations, Esau is the lowest nation. He's the basest man. All the other nations are better off than Esau, because Esau is a profane man, and he will not receive repentance in these last days. The other nations, Moabites, Hamites, they're going to receive mercy in a form of they're going to get their lands back, and they're going to get their heritage, and they're going to be subjugated and under the thumb and rule of the Israelites. But Esau, he's going to be put out of the earth. He's going to be a stubble, like it speaks about in Obadiah 1:17. There will be no root, no branch, no nephew, no nothing. Esau is going to be deleted out of the earth. He's the only nation that's not promised any type of mercy. The other nations will get a form of mercy, but we're trying to stick to the point here. So it says, "And the Lord power said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field." All right, "And upon thy belly," that means he's going to be low. He's going to be a low creature. He's going to be vile. "Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life." So he's going to be perplexed. He's going to be confused. All right. Let me see what it says there for the. Let's see what it has there. Okay. But yeah, Esau was going to be in a confused state, man. A very low, vile state. Even unto this day, he still carries these same characteristics and mannerisms. Even though he has the blessing of the fatness of the earth, Esau is still profane. All right. It says here, it says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed. The woman was representation of Israel. And it says, in thy seed, the seed that was going to continue. This is Cain, or not Cain, Salaki. But the seed that was going to continue was going to come back in the earth as Esau. It says, between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy heel. It says, and it shall bruise thy head. Wait, hold on. It says, and it says, it shall bruise thy head, because we're going to destroy Esau. And thou shalt bruise his heel, because Esau is gonna slow us down, man. He's gonna hem us up. But at the end, we're gonna destroy the head. And when you destroy the head of something, you completely put it out of its misery. You know, when you kill the head of a snake, it's done. And it ain't no coming back from that. Now let's get into Cain, and we're gonna get to Cain because we had to explain the serpent, which was the seed of the wicked. All right. But now we gotta go and explain Cain. All right. Because Cain is Esau in the reincarnation. So we gotta go into it. Now it says in verse 1, it says, and Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And then she begat Abel. All right. But we know the story between Cain and Abel, but we're gonna jump to the point of the particular judgment that the Lord Yahawashi gave to Cain, and Cain is the representation of the wicked. All right, just it's the same thing that happened during the time of Jacob with Esau and Jacob. All right, same thing happened here with Adam and Eve. You had Abel, which could represent the righteous, the sons of God, and then you had Cain, which represents the sons of the wicked. All right, and we understand what happened to Abel, and then the Lord Yahawashi brought forth Seth to continue on the line of the sons of God. But more importantly, we're going to get into what the Lord said was the punishment that was going to happen unto Cain. Salakia. What the fuck is she talking about? Okay, anyway. This is verse 10. He says, and it says, and he said, what hast thou done? Because we understand that Cain murdered his brother, you know. But it says, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me unto the ground. Because he was in the spirit world complaining, you know, that he got put to death by his brother, his wicked brother his wicked brother Cain. So like it says in verse 11, it says, and now thou art cursed from the earth. And this is the very moment where Cain, the Edomites, you know, whatever they want to call themselves today, the Jews, whatever they want to call themselves, they're still the Edomites. They can run from it, they can hide from it, but they're still the Edomites at the end of the day. It says in verse 11, now thou art cursed from the earth. So the earth don't even fuck with Esau. And that's why the sun is against Esau. All right. And the whole earth in and of itself is against Esau. All right. The earth is in mourning having this man in rulership, at the end of the day. But reading on, it says, and now thou art cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood. It says in verse 12, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. And this is the characteristics and the very same spirit that's in these Edomites today that was in Cain. All right, a murderer. It says here, a fugitive and a vagabond, and thou shalt be in the earth. He's a fugitive, a vagabond, a thief, profane. Let's go into that word, vagabond. A criminal, because a fugitive is a criminal. All right, here it says to move, to wander aimlessly, to flutter. And the Esau Edom, he doesn't stay at home. Esau Edom's always in everybody's business, in everybody's land, putting, central banks, trying to basically be the world's global police. He doesn't stay at home, man. Esau's in everybody's land doing wickedness. And here it says in verse 13, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. So he got the bitching. It says here in verse 14, behold, thou hast driven me from this day from the face of the earth, because the Lord took away his pigment. All right, so he had pigment, but now he doesn't have pigment. So he looks weird. He looks, everyone on the earth has melanation and he doesn't. So obviously, he's going to be a target. Nations of people are going to want to put him to death. All right, but the Lord put a mark on him so that people would leave him alone, because the one that's going to really get into Esau's ass, the Lord is really going to be the one that's going to open up a can of whoop ass on Esau. We're going to read it here. It says, behold, thou hast driven me out from this day from the face of the earth. It says, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. All right, and he's still doing this to this day. This is the characteristics and spirit of Esau and the Edomites today. All right, but we're going to the pigment. But it says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. But the Lord said this, and this is why that even this is still very prevalent today. If I, hypothetically, me, myself, go and kill an Edomite, they're going to put me under the jail. And then who knows what type of mischief might happen before, I'm gonna be, it's not gonna be, you're gonna get all the years in the world. Boy, you're gonna get life times 3. You put hands on an Edomite, or God forbid to be an Edomite woman, you're through. You know what I mean? But it says here, and the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him 7-fold. All right, so we not supposed to really, put our hands on these Edomites, man. We gotta play nice, all right, because the Lord's really gonna be the one that's gonna open up that can of whoop ass, like I said before. Okay. And it says, and the Lord set a mark upon Cain, and this is that mark. He took, it says, lest any finding him should kill him. So he was able to forward himself in the earth. All right, even unto the time of Jacob and Esau. All right, because we understand that the flood came, but through reincarnation, the wicked nation, Cain and that spirit, they came back. So we're finna get into that account during the time of Jacob and Esau real quickly. All right. So let's get into it. Just jump to Genesis 25. And we're finna, let's jump to it. Genesis 25. Well, it might be, hold on. All right, bet. So we're finna jump into it. Let's go.